And welcome into JUCK on Bucks, the post-game show. 56-0 Buckeyes. What a game. I mean, what a game at the Horseshoe tonight. Western Michigan, game number 2. A step up in competition from Akron, game 1. This is the team that was beating Wisconsin in the fourth quarter last week. And what a performance the Buckeyes put on. We talked all week about starting off hot. Ryan Day talked all week about starting off hot. Everybody wanted a hot start. And you could see Ryan Day getting the offense fired up before they took the field for the first time. He had him on the sidelines. He was hollering at him in the pregame. And I don't think they showed this, but he did the little mosh pit deal with them where he gets in the middle and has them push him around. And, you know, it looks kind of silly on TV, but hey, whatever works, man. And boy, did it work. Tonight, it worked. As they came out and played just about as good as you can in a first half of football for the number 2 game of the season. I mean, they absolutely looked like the best team in the country. No doubt about it. Last week, there were a couple of areas they wanted to clean up. The offensive line did not look so great last week. They made a couple of mental errors last week. Austin Cerebral got to start again for Donovan Jackson. Donovan Jackson was available to go, as was Cody Simon. Cody Simon went. Donovan did not. And Austin Cerebral in his second start was tremendous. Absolutely tremendous. I can't wait to see the All-22, but I was keyed in on him. He was great. And this is a really awesome development here to have that left guard now with some experience, a couple games in the bag. His most recent one being a really, really good game before he has to go back to the bench, make room for Donovan again. And now you got a solid backup at left guard with Carson Hinsman. You got right guard and center covered with another experienced guy. And Donovan gets 2 more weeks to rest up that hamstring, which we all know are so doggone finicky. Thank you all for joining me, man. Appreciate you guys. I saw you in here, said, let's just go. I know you guys are excited as I am, man. This was awesome. What a day of college football, right? It doesn't get much better than this, guys. And we'll talk about it all once we get through the Buckeyes. Seth McLaughlin, this guy is a bona fide Remington Award candidate, for sure. Always in the right spot. He knows exactly what to do on every play. He engages every block and then gets his butt between him and where the ball carrier is going to be. Nobody gets off his blocks. He's good on double teams. He's good at chipping and getting to the next level. He's crafty. He's excellent. He's a star. I had no idea what a good center this guy was. He's excellent. Josh Fryer tonight? Josh Fryer tonight was the guy that we were told about that had made all the improvements in the offseason. The guy that won the Iron Buckeye in the spring, in the fall. This is that guy. And he showed it tonight. Not just the guy across from him, but he was out on his horse, getting guys out in the open field and keeping on blocks. Tegra, in his second start, looked just as good as his first. And Simmons was Simmons. I don't want to get too excited because of the level of competition, but this was the best offensive line performance we've seen in that first half. I don't know how long, guys. I mean, I don't know how long. It was just awesome. It was so good. But these guys scored a touchdown. I'm going to call it, all right, let's exclude when they got the ball back with 1 minute left in the first half. If you exclude that, they scored a touchdown on all 6 of their possessions prior to that. The one that got called back on the phantom penalty they called on Bryson Rodgers that absolutely didn't happen. So if you exclude that silly penalty, 6 out of 6, they scored touchdowns. Those refs were some flag happy dudes, weren't they? They threw Denzel out of the game from the booth. Totally ridiculous. Ejecting a guy for a play like that. And they have got to clear this up. We hear people talk about it every offseason. Like, you got to do something about this. Nothing ever gets done. Super annoying. Running back lowers his head at the same time the DB comes in. They both lower their heads at the same time. It's just football. It happens. They throw him out of the game for that. Whatever. Will Howard with a big time performance tonight, a big confidence boosting performance. Looked really, really good. Couple of not so great balls. He missed Jelani. I also thought Jelani kind of mistimed his jump. He was kind of coming down on his jump when the ball was getting there. Didn't really high point it. The miss of JJ that was a definite touchdown. That one was not a great throw. And he had another one that kind of just fluttered out of his hand. I don't know if it might have been a little wet down there. I don't know. But that one kind of flipped out of his hand. But boy, lethal in the RPO game. Absolutely lethal in the red zone. They got to respect that guy. They got to respect his wheels. That offense looks so good. JJ, again, 6 targets in the first half. Emeka, 6 targets in the first half. Carnell had 3 catches in the first half. Some really nice downfield blocks as well. Second week in a row that Emeka has stood out for really handling dudes downfield blocking. And he's good at it, and he's got the want to do it. Something we have not seen in a while. JJ also blocking downfield, and we know Emeka's always done it. So this right here, another positive turn of events that we have not seen in recent years. The tight ends cumulatively had 4 targets in the first half. Ryan Day said he wanted to get them more involved. They only had 1 target, I believe, last week. 4 in just the first half. Haven't seen what they got in the second half, but that's fantastic. Quinshawn looked like Ole Miss Quinshawn instead of last week Quinshawn. He was great. Of course, the big one he busted was awesome and they got called back, but had a whole slew of good-looking runs. Trey looked excellent. Quinshawn, 9 carries for 108 yards and 2 touchdowns with a long of 23, and that's not counting the big one that he busted. Trey, 10 for 66, 6.6 yards a carry, 2 touchdowns with a long of 16. And Jimmy DePeoples, 10 for 51 with the touchdown. I mean, just fantastic running of the ball. But credit to the offensive line. They were just excellent. They were excellent. And we have now seen what this offense is supposed to look like when it's running at its peak, and it is scary as hell. 11 yards per play in the first half. That's incredible. That's incredible. The first or second series when they were down at the goal line, I can't recall which one, Chip put 4 tight ends in. They were 9 guys across the front. He had Jelani, Bennett Christian, G, and Will Kazmarek across the front with Will and Trey in the backfield. And that was interesting. Chip definitely had some tricks up his sleeve tonight. We got to see quarterbacks 2, 3, and 4 this evening. Devin Brown came in, and when Devin came in, I thought that he did not look. My criticism of Devin has been that he looks like he just can't settle himself down. He comes in and he's just all jittery. He didn't look like that tonight. He came in and he looked smooth. He looked sharp. I was so happy for the guy. That was a really good, solid performance. Ripped some balls. He looked really good. Julian looked fast coming out of the backfield, didn't he? On that one run, that 10-yard run that he got tripped up on. Then, of course, the touchdown that he tossed to Bennett Christian. That was really nice looking. Of course, he was wide open, but it was nice looking. Happy that he got his first touchdown. Happy that Bennett Christian with his first touchdown. Lincoln got in. All in all, what an offensive performance. What an offensive performance. The defense, obviously, they shut him out, right? Western goes for the field goal earlier, which was absolutely pathetic. They go for the field goal to try to prevent getting shut out, and Karma bites him in the rear end. They doink the field goal and then get shut out. That's what you get. Like, what's that field goal going to do for you, man? Is that going to help your pride if it's 0 points to 3? Maybe. I don't know. But Karma got him on that one. Last week, Arvell Reese was absolutely tremendous. And today, he's the 3rd linebacker in. He was in possession number 2. He played a ton in the first half, and he played great. Made plays in the flat that were not made last week. Not by him. He made them last week, but they weren't made last week. He made them. And you got to think that he is now he is now the 3-man coming off the bench there for the linebackers, at least in the immediate future. He was excellent. A couple of really nice tackles. He looks so fast. He just looks. You guys know. I mean, what a game, man. I'm just giddy about this. Of course, we had our rival. Obviously, set us off in a good mood early on in the day, and we can get into that, or we can finish on the Bucks first, which might take a while. Dillon's at the press conference. When the press conference is over, Dillon's going to pop in. Yo, son, hey. Dago says that hit that Sonny made. Wow, dude. That was a hit and Sonny has those once in a while where guys they get hit by Sonny and just kind of crumble. It looks like it just looks a little bit different. Sonny is he's just a little different, man, and that was just amazing. But so happy you guys came to join me. Rod says Oregon scored. What's the score, guys, of that game? I saw the Boise was up 3-0. Big Mouth Marcus and his Fighting Irish lost to Northern Illinois today. That's just a shame. That's a real shame for Marcus. Gets himself up to top 5 when he beat those those really super awesome Texas A&M Aggies, who were of course super overrated. Notre Dame gets up to top 5 and down they go. That's a shame. Kevin says it's 14-10 Ducks. Yeah, Oregon's on Peacock. I've got it, but I don't got it turned on right now. I ordered it just to get it in. KRIS Design says Hicks needs to not play linebacker. I didn't see him in much today at all. I did not. He definitely was. I don't want to say definitely wasn't in the first half. I didn't see him in on the first half. But JJ ends with 5 receptions for 119 yards, 23.8 average, with a touchdown and that 170-yarder, which, we watched earlier in the day. Ryan Wingo, who is the freshman for Texas, he busted off on a long one. And my thought was JJ scores there. And then JJ comes and scores. Because I don't know if you guys know, but these Texas folks are trying to say that Ryan Wingo is better than JJ. I was going to play a clip for you a couple of days ago. They're really trying to push that hard. Not the case. JJ would have scored on that one that Ringo did not score on. So that was great. Emeka gets 5 receptions for 98 yards. Good for him. BI gets 3 for 45. Nice to see BI get involved. Carnell also had 3 for 45. Jaden Ballard with another catch. A whole lot of guys get a ball here. Jaden Ballard, Bryson Rogers, Kojo, Will Kaz gets 2. Patrick Gerd got a ball. G. Scott, James Peoples. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. A dozen guys got a ball tonight. And that's important. That's important. Jaden Ballard with a fumble. Brandon Ennis with a fumble. Caleb Downs with 4 tackles tonight. He got involved. He had a couple really slick tackles. Mr. Mo says Sawyer is playing like a man possessed right now. He sure looks great. He looks great. Finally got his sack. And he looked excellent. Yeah, I don't know. Daniel says, how do you only score 14 in Northern Illinois? Hey, my buddy Terry from College Football Stop, was at the game today. He's now back home, and we're going to bring Terry in now to talk to us about the game. Terry, what's up, brother?
What's up, Jack? How you doing, man?
Good, buddy. Good to see you. How was the game tonight?
It was really good. It was a good experience, but kind of also a little bit of a wild one. I didn't even find my seat. So it was my first time going to the game. We didn't even find our seat, but we got to see a lot, and it was really good, man. I can't wait to get to talk about it because the game itself was crazy.
So if you exclude the 7th possession of the first half, which they got it back with a minute left, they scored on all 6 of those possessions. I'm not counting the one that they called back on that rubbish penalty. It wasn't a penalty. They scored on all 6. They scored a touchdown. What a first half. The offensive line looked great. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, man, that exactly what you just said is the one point that I wanted to highlight. The offensive line looked phenomenal. I mean, better than great. It looked really good. And that's what I expected from them. I expect them to continue getting better and better as the season goes on. And I kind of expected with Chip Kelly's run scheme that the run game on this team was going to go crazy. And I think tonight was like a sneak peek or a preview of that.
It was. That's what this thing is going to look like at its best. And it was so good. It was so good. Will Howard, he looked tremendous. I was just reading, I don't know if you heard, 12 different guys caught balls tonight. He spread it out. He looked great. He seemed to make the right decision almost every time on those RPOs. I'm telling you, there was a couple wonky throws in there, which we kind of knew we would have with him. And I know you've not always been 100% sold on him. How are you feeling about Will?
Listen, on my last show that I did, I wrote an apology letter live on air to Will Howard because he's a lot better than what I expected. I mean, that's the best way I can put it. And seeing him in person today, again, what Ryan Day said about Will Howard is that he's in command of the offense, and you can truly see it. I mean, he's out there and he's in command. Like you said, he's making the right choices on all the RPOs. And we know that if you're going to ask him to throw the ball 50 yards downfield on a rope, that's probably not his strength. I think we saw that today with the one to Will Howard or to Jeremiah Smith that was underthrown pretty badly. But listen, I think the offense with Will Howard is just going to be hard to stop, man. He's not really out there making mistakes. He's out there just doing the right thing, and he can make all the easy plays look easy, which is the one thing that Ryan Day always preaches. So
yeah, he does. If this offensive line, and I don't want to get too overly excited because of the competition, but if they can perform like this, or just even maybe not quite so good, I don't see anybody being able to stop this offense. I just don't. The weapons all over the field they're just tremendous. And that offensive line has been the bugaboo the last couple of years. And they're starting to come together as a unit that does not look like they're going to be a weak spot. Seth McLaughlin, Terry, I don't know if you're on. I am so impressed with this guy. I didn't quite understand what we were getting here. This guy, I was just keyed in on them so much today, and I can't wait to see the all 22. But Seth McLaughlin is tremendous. I mean, he's absolutely looking like a guy that might be, up for the Remington Award, like that good.
Yeah. And Jack, I was the same way because of like the Michigan game and stuff. But for all the guys that came in as transfers, I went back and watched every single one of their games. Now I didn't have access to all 22, but I watched every single snap that I could of those guys. And you could see it on film at Alabama that Seth was a beast, dude. He's a beast. And he's super quick. Like if you want him to get to the second level, he's getting there. If there's, put the best defensive tackle in front of him, the best defensive tackle in college football, he's blocking him. He's going to take care of it, and I think that's going to show at Ohio State. And honestly, that could go as like the most underrated portal pickup of the last portal cycle for any team, probably.
You're exactly right. It was the one that we got made fun of. You know what I mean? Like they were laughing at us about it. Yes. And this guy's coming in here looking like an All-American. And, he had not a great season last year at Alabama. It's true. But the year before, he was all SEC. And you could certainly see why in these first couple games, particularly tonight. And he's crafty. He's just got all the little subtle moves. I just a couple times, and I just saw him do something. I was like, okay, I see what you did there. You know what I mean? And that takes experience and smarts,
Mm-hmm. That's what you get with him, man. Go ahead, you're good.
No, all right. Our rival, Terry, played earlier today. They've been telling us all off season that they weren't going to miss a beat. We tried to tell them that you can't lose all your consequential coaches, be 127th out of 134th in returning production, and just keep rolling like nothing happened. They didn't want to believe us. Now they're mad. They're on their message boards. They're yelling at the guys that inform them of the team. You've lied to us. You've blown smoke up our keisters, just like Florida State did after they lost to Georgia Tech. I don't know, Terry. What do you think? They just they look like a very average football team to me.
Very, very average. I mean, honestly, Juck, it's hard to even put into words. You look at that team, and I was almost sold on them. I was talking to a couple of my buddies, and I said, "Look, I think Michigan is going to beat Texas." And then they started talking to me more, and I started watching more film. I'm like, "Nah, never mind." I changed my tone on that. I'm like, "No, Quinn Ewers is going to take care of business." But honestly, they looked lost most of that game. On offense, they looked lost the whole game, and their defense was just had guys running wide open all day, the whole entire game. And then when they did get the right calls out there, they couldn't tackle. I mean, that was an embarrassing effort by them. And honestly, that game playing out the way that it did made our game so much better. I mean,
Right.
watching our game was just so much fun because of the fact that they lost today, and it's almost like it gives you hope that things are going to come full circle with the last 3 years, because it's easy to convince yourself that nothing's going to happen, or regardless of whether you want something to happen or not, it's easy to convince yourself that, okay, they just got away with this one. But seeing them look bad like that, I don't know, man. It felt good to me. How did it feel to you?
It was amazing. It was amazing. And it's just because I don't know if you have this same deal, but it's like I had talked myself into the offseason the whole time. Like there's no way they can be good. And then recently I start kind of like doubting myself, like, man, I'm looking again, like they're so confident. What am I missing here?
Yeah.
Because they're all so confident. But yeah, they've officially got their comeuppance, and now they got USC in 2 weeks. And I'm like, yeah, let's get this sucker really rolling right. You know what I mean?
Hey, if they lose to USC, that's going to be a heck of a day too, man, because they could
Yeah.
end up being a 4 or 5 loss team this year. And listen, you can't help but think, watching that game and how that game played out, you can't help but think back to the Connor Stallion stuff. You can't, if you're, especially as an Ohio State fan, and I'm sure some other fan bases too. But you watch how that game played out. Like I can't think of a Michigan defense in the last 3 years where people would have been running wide open like that.
It's true.
You just wouldn't be open. Even when we had, at Ohio State, C.J. Stroud, Garrett Wilson, JSN, Chris Olave, they were not running wide open like that. They were having to make crazy contested catches just to move the ball down the field. So I don't know, man. It was awesome to watch.
So we see that. Then we see Notre Dame host Northern Illinois. Notre Dame loses to Northern Illinois. They scored 13 points on a MAC team after they went down to Texas A&M and beat them, and they were actually the underdog heading into the Texas A&M game. We were supposed to believe that Texas A&M team was very good. Notre Dame shoots up to number 5 in the rankings. They go down. So we lose 2 top 10 teams today. I guess the big question is, how good is Texas? They looked really good. Are they going to jump us, Terry?
I don't think that they'll jump us because of what Ohio State did tonight. Ohio State tonight, to me, looked like the best team in college football. And that's from start to finish. And when I say that, I mean, like, if you're going to look up and down a roster, every single player on the roster, every single guy that stepped on the field for Ohio State tonight played well. And they made it all the way to like the third stringers. And I mean, the second string came in, didn't miss a beat. First drive, they scored a touchdown. Second string defense and the guys that were rotating in didn't miss a beat. So I don't know. I don't think they'll jump us because of how well we did in our game. And plus, I think that there's going to be some of that. Like, is Michigan really just that bad?
Yeah. And I think that's going to be a bit of until they play USC. I don't think anybody's really going to know. But I'm with you. I don't think they jump us. And no, it doesn't really matter anymore. This is all just fodder at this point. We know it's just about, we just got to win the conference. We know that Oregon did not look so hot last week. Boise's looks like they're playing them head up. Alabama was playing pretty head up with USF, and then it looked like they pulled away in the 4th, but that was tight in the 4th. I think that again, this is an Ohio State and Georgia kind of looking really good this weekend, outside of Texas, of course. But the top 3 teams, maybe. You know what, Terry? I feel silly a little bit that I kind of overlooked Texas heading into this year. I kind of overlooked them, and I kind of had Oregon as that number 3 solidly, and then Texas behind them. And looking back, it's just like, this is the team that was just in the playoffs last year. Yes, they lost some stuff. Oregon hasn't proven that to me yet, that I should feel that confident in them making that leap. That's a big leap to jump from, with the level they're at, just to automatically assume that they're going to be this killer because they've got a talented roster and an up-and-coming coaching staff.
Yeah, and I didn't do the same thing with Oregon personally. I've kind of always been on the Oregon's probably going to lose like 3 or 4 games this year train
3 or
because
4.
That's where I'm at. And listen,
Okay.
The first week they looked like a team that was going to lose 3 or 4 games. So I was right at least the first week. Well, we'll see. But I didn't think they were going to come into the Big Ten. I mean, they didn't win the Pac-12. I said this on my show the other day. Like, if they won the Pac-12, then I could maybe see myself being more like, okay, this team's going to come in here and compete. But they didn't even win that. And I mean, as far as Texas goes, I knew they were going to be good. And that's honestly, like, if we're being honest with ourselves, Juck, Texas for many, many years now has been a sleeping giant, right?
Absolutely.
If you put the right head coach at Texas and get the right quarterback at Texas, everything else is going to fall into place. Every other position, you're going to have the talent to be a team that can compete for a national championship. And they may have that this year. We'll have to see, because I still don't know what Michigan is. That's my problem. Like, Texas looked really good, but I still don't know what Michigan is, because at the same time, Texas looked really good. Michigan looked awful. So,
yeah, I'm with you. I don't know that we can really take one way or the other. How good was Texas? How bad is Michigan? It probably falls somewhere in the middle for both of them. Texas probably isn't that juggernaut. They are missing quite a few pieces from last year's squad, and Michigan probably isn't as bad as they looked. But I'm going to go ahead and pretend they were for the next 24 hours or so anyway, Terry, because it's fun to do so. Jack Sawyer got a sack tonight. I was so happy for him. I actually just got my Jack jersey in today, so I was super pumped.
I seen that, man. It looks good on you.
Thanks, buddy. Thanks, buddy. I didn't see CJ Hicks in the first half. I saw Arvell. Arvell looked fantastic. Do you think that CJ has kind of been bumped down underneath Arvell now in the way this is playing out?
So listen, if James Laurinaitis is not lying to us, and I think I remember you said this on your show, and which is ultimately what led me to actually watching the video. James Laurinaitis said, look, if you play well one week, or if you have a good week of practice, why should I not get you in the game the following week, right? So I don't know. It depends on what CJ Hicks looked like when he did get in the game this week. If he went out there and did what he was supposed to do and looked good, then maybe we see him get back in more of that rotation. Obviously, the first week we know that he had a rough week, and Arvell looked like a freak out there. So Arvell deserved to go out there and get more reps, especially in the first half. And it seems like he sees them. And honestly, if you watch Arvell and how he moves and how he hits and how he just does everything in that linebacker position, I don't think that he's gonna hit a peak. I think that he's here to stay. You know what I mean? Like, I think Arvell is a staple of this defense now. So either way, if he did pass up Sonny, I'm okay with it. And I'm sorry, not Sonny, but CJ. If he did pass up CJ, I'm okay with it. And if you're CJ Hicks, you got to be okay with it too, because you went out on the field and you didn't look as good as him. And now if you want to, when you get out there and get those reps, you need to look as good or better than him. And that's just the way it is.
Yeah, I think you're spot on. And to be honest, I was somewhat, and James has said that, I was somewhat wondering today how it was going to go. When we saw Arvell come in first, I was like, all right, he's sticking to it. And then Arvell really showed out. We saw CJ late. The first thing I saw out of him was it wasn't a missed tackle, but he could have stopped the guy for 2, and he went for 6. So I that was really the only play that I had honed in on him, because I had started on my notes. I'll have to check it out. Did you see how he played later on in the game, CJ?
I didn't, honestly. I don't think really the linebackers were having to do too much late in the game anyway. This game specifically, I feel like the D-line kind of dominated it to the point where the linebackers were not even doing too much. Like, last game we played against like a triple option team. The linebackers needed to read and react and make plays. But in this game, I don't know. I just think the D-line did so much that, other than a couple plays that stick out, like I do remember the one you were just talking about with CJ. And the other, I remember Arvell Reese kind of screaming down and kind of smacking someone in the backfield. Those are really the only couple. Sonny also had a big hit too. I don't know if you remember that one.
Oh yeah.
Sonny laid the wood on that guy.
Yeah.
But other than those couple plays, I don't remember too much from the linebackers. I mean, the D line was just dominant for a big portion of the game. So,
Terry, do you have an MVP from tonight's game?
ooh, an MVP. Listen, I'm giving my MVP to the offensive line.
All right.
All of them.
Fair enough.
All
Fair
of
enough.
them.
I don't know how you could single one out. They all played so
Mhm.
doggone good. I think I'm going to give mine to Fryer just because he had a bad game last week. Not bad, but it wasn't what we were hoping for. And then he came back
Mhm.
and he actually made some of his blocks were quite difficult downfield, tough for a bigger guy like him.
Mhm.
6-7 yards down the field, and he did really, really well. So that's who I'm giving it to. Terry, tell everybody where they can find you, brother.
Yep, you can find me on Twitter at CFB_stop. I have a YouTube that's CFB Stop also, but I haven't been putting out content, so don't worry about that for right now. But anyway, on Twitter, I'm putting out content all the time. That's pretty much it.
It's good stuff, guys. Check him out. Terry, thanks for joining us tonight, brother.
Absolutely, man. Good talking to you, Juck.
Thanks,
I'll
buddy.
catch you next time, man.
All right, talk to you soon.
Mm-hmm.
And thanks to my buddy Terry for joining me. Got his first game in tonight. That's awesome with his son. Absolutely love to hear when somebody gets to go to their first game. Though he didn't find his seats. Did we ask him where he watched the game? That he didn't find his seats. Andrew Mueller says offered not going to Auburn after that mess, which we did not hit in our highlight from the day, and we'll go into this a whole lot more on Monday's show. But Naeem Offord, of course, been flirting heavily with Auburn. His dad said that we were going to see how the season plays out. Hugh Freeze and Auburn come out and lose to Cal today. Cal Berkeley at home on the Plains. I don't know if Naeem was in attendance for that one, but he just might have been. He was there last weekend, and he lives really close. So that's pretty funny. My buddy Dan actually tweeted out, this is, I think this is what Kaori, I think is his dad's name, must have been talking about by seeing the season played out, which Kaori promptly responded with some laughing emojis. So he's definitely aware that Auburn lost in quite a humiliating way today to Cal Berkeley, which is quite funny. But what a game, guys. What's on your mind? What are we thinking about here? Robert says commits are always going to look at other schools. Works both ways, as we may get some like Brew visiting us. The problem, Robert, is we don't generally do so hot on the flip game. We generally lose guys out of our class. Not so good at going out and getting them back in. But yeah, they're watching us right now, and we're certainly hot. If Offer does end up flipping, I just hope he does it sooner than later, and then we can go and find that guy and have some time to work on him. But interesting that Hugh Freeze did not get himself a quarterback, because man, that was just pathetic. Absolutely pathetic. Mega MC gives the whole line the MVP, and we got I don't know if anybody else has got the press conference up, but Dillon Davis will be joining us right after the press conference, and it looks like Will's talking now, which means probably Ryan Day is already complete. So Dillon should be on pretty soon here with us to let us know what, RD's done, then Quinshawn, then Will. So this puppy's almost done. So he should be on with us pretty doggone soon. And Bugsy's daddy, he's going to give Q the MVP. Q balled out in his first time balling out with the Buckeyes last week. Not so good. And there were some people pretty down on his performance. My son even told me, he's 19. He was like, I was thinking that he was the better running back. And then last week I said, nah, it's Trey. And now tonight I said, it's Quinshawn. Come on, buddy, make up your mind. You can't be going back and forth based on who's the hot hand. But I've always been a Trey guy. Quinshawn was fantastic tonight. Absolutely fantastic. We got a whole lot of offensive line fans for the MVP and Quinn. So we got Quinn's Chris says, Juck, you worried about TJ Alford visiting Miami? I just can't be, dude, because I'll tell you straight up, man. I talk to TJ. TJ makes me feel like everything's all cool. And it's just like, get on the show and say, like, yeah, I'm really worried about it. His dad's a big Miami fan, but he's not pushing to Miami. You hear a lot of stuff about his family, and he tells me it's his extended family, like cousins and, some uncles and stuff. I just feel like he's got that really strong bond with James Laurinaitis. And to me, I think that wins the day with TJ Alford. Also seems to be really tight with the other two linebackers now in the class. So I feel pretty good about it, even though Miami is cooking. ABH says CJ is a great player, not the typical linebacker, but one of the best blitzers on the team. He absolutely is. He's fantastic. The problem is, who do you pull off the field to put him in to blitz? I don't know. A lot of people want to move him to end, but who you taking him out? Who you pulling off? KRIS Design says Chip called straight heat tonight. Chip was on fire. Chip was on fire, and Will orchestrated it beautifully. Dago's looking at some stats here, and he says Western Michigan had less than 100 yards of offense. I did not see that. Also, if you're a DB named Denzel, you will get booted for targeting. Seems to be the law. That's a good one. That is a good one. Demo says D-line has been phenomenal. Blitzing almost feels like being too greedy. They have been excellent. I haven't seen the total snap counts. It didn't seem to me like in the first half we had so much of a defensive line rotation as we had last week. Do you guys, does anybody have any info on that? It's tough to do this and look. Ken says, yeah, wait till next year when Miami loses Cam and they fall back into obscurity. Very well could happen. They do got a lot of young talent, but they're going to need, they don't got that quarterback in the pipeline. No, they're going to have to hit in the portal again. And if they don't hit in the portal, yeah, you got yourself a problem. Absolutely. General Chrome says, I'm amazed at the difference with Chip. He's just something, man. He's really something. You can really see him in the building, the offense, how he wants it. He isn't just trying to score as many points as he can right now. He has a process, and it shows. It really does. They were talking about last week how they were trying to establish the run. Come out today, and it looks like I feel like the first 4 plays maybe were passes, and I'm like, what's going on? We're getting off script, and not script because they don't script plays, but you know what I mean. We got something different going on today, but in the end, it looks like it balanced all out. 25 of 33 passing, so 33 passes tonight, 39 rushes. Last week was 31 passes, 33 rushes. So a higher percentage of rushes tonight. And 72 plays versus 64 last week. Which is real nice. 74 is real nice. We haven't had 74 plays since 2020. Joey Velasquez got in the game. Joey Velasquez lost his black stripe. Joey Velasquez from Columbus went to the team up north, transferred back as a walk-on. So good for him. Jonathan Reagan says, another shout out to the wide receiver blocking tonight. They were throwing dudes all over the field. Yes, they were. And man, is that great to see. Uh-oh, the Boise running back is a dog. Did he score? He must have. You guys are all saying his name. Where's the Ducks? I don't see the Ducks in here. They're watching the game. Emily says, seems like the D line was rotating a lot still. Okay, cool. Yeah, I didn't notice as much in the first half. I did see K-Mac in there in the second half. I saw some Hero Canoe. About the third quarter, though, I'm usually jotting down my notes, and I kind of miss quite a bit. But let me click on here and see if I've got the Peacock to see if I can throw on this Oregon game while we wait for Dillon. Reaper the Creeper says, Caden McDonald was a monster tonight. Wow. Caden McDonald is he's a moose, and he's quick. He's really quick for his size. He's an impressive football player. And it just makes me laugh every time. You know, Georgia didn't want him because he's 2 inches too short for their standard in there, which just blows my mind. You know, they got these hard line heights that they only deal with. And I guess if you can do that, it's a way to go about it, but you're excluding a whole lot of football players, even evaluating them. Drives me nuts. Dot, what's up? Good to see you, buddy. Bugsy's dad says you don't need much rotation when you only give up 6 first downs all night. That's true. Dot says Juck Gang for life. Saints touchdown was the highlight of his night. Boise now up 17-14 with 39 seconds left in the half and a first down. Are you kidding me? They are on the 15-yard line going in. And, you know, realistically, they're probably going to go into halftime 20-14. Oregon going to go into the halftime down after looking like they looked last week. And I did just hear that Boise 3-0 all time against Oregon. That's something. Aaron Walker says, I hate talking about the refs, but the calls were definitely one-sided against the Bucks tonight. The phantom holding that called back that Quinshawn run was just absurd. Now, I'll need to watch it back again. Oregon inside the 5-yard, I'm sorry, Boise inside the 5-yard line with 20 seconds left. I'll have to watch it back again. Did any of you guys see, was it somebody else? Because they called it on Bryson Rogers. It was not a penalty, whatever Bryson Rogers did. I watched him. Did they miscall the number, and was it somebody else? Andy says the Duck Eyes are probably drinking heavily right now. Can you imagine? Can you imagine starting the season like them or the team up north? Like, wow. They both came into this season feeling quite confident. Yeah, Andrew, we hit on Tate. Tate was fantastic downfield blocking this tonight. Fantastic. He's a dog at it. So is JJ. And things, you know, and so is BI. We got a crew in here that is now all of a sudden like serious about downfield blocking. Jonathan Regan says Caleb Downs looked as advertised tonight, making some nice plays all over the field. He's got that quick little where he goes in and just takes them out at the ankles. I love it. He's so fast. Aggressive. Dingo says, shout out to Sharon. Big tears more. Blue looked absolutely great today. He has that offensive line humming and that quarterback Heisman written all over him. Gosh. Can we talk about how bad this orgy must be to lose to that dude? Like, how bad is this orgy guy? Kirsch Design says everyone was blocking like real men tonight. That's for sure. And it looks like Oregon going to kick the field goal and go into the half up 20-14. I'm sorry, did I say Oregon again? Boise going to go into the half up 20-14 at Autzen Stadium. Autzen Stadium that we are supposed to go and lose at. And all of a sudden, that game looks a whole lot different, doesn't it? You almost wish you'd have bought tickets to that one, but man, I just can't make it. I can't make that trip all the way out there. I can't do it. Buckeye MP says, I'm starting to think ESPN's Big Ten power rankings might be a little off. I'm not quite so sure what they are. Is that I know that they have that ridiculous FPI that's been banned here at JUCK Studios, the ESPN FBI. I don't know if that's the same as what you're talking about, but that's the one that had Alabama as the number 2 team that's going to win the national championship, and they were tied with USF heading into the fourth quarter. So not so great there. I think they had Oregon above Ohio State as well. Oregon after Oregon laid a duck last week, not so hot this week as they're going to go into the half trailing to Boise State in what might be a preview of the playoffs. You know, if Oregon can be the runner-up in the Big Ten, which a lot of people assumed that they would be the runner-up, they got a ways to go. You know, the way they're playing, they may lose a game here that nobody expected them to. J-Buck says, Junty reminds him of J.K. Dobbins. Chris says, G. Scott was even blocking tonight. Oh, David Robinson said it was G holding on that Q run, and it was a bad one. Ooh, you're telling me G spoiled that? I'm glad I didn't see it. Damo says, thought it might have been Thurman, but they said the wrong name. But it did look like where the ref threw the flag was where Bryson was. Okay. No block, no rock. The way it should be, indeed. Ferris is under a rock somewhere. Yeah. For sure. Orgy kills worms when he throws. I don't know how he's so bad. That one ball we saw last week, really, really bad. All right, guys, we got Dillon, and Dillon just was at the press conference. He's going to pop in and say hello. Our buddy Dillon Davis from the Delaware Gazette to tell us how the press conference went with Ryan Day. Dillon, what's up, brother?
How we doing?
Fantastic. It couldn't be better. I have not seen a half a ball that perfect in a long, long time.
Yeah, it was just about flawless all throughout the night. All throughout every level of both sides of the ball. I mean, they played about as well as they could play. Again, relative to the competition, sure, but they did exactly what you would want to do to, overmatch teams who are just inferior, talent wise. They dominated the football game in every aspect. So it was very, very good to see for the Buckeyes.
So Donovan was able to play. He did not play. And Austin Searveld gets to play a whole nother game. He played really, really good.
Yeah.
As did Tegra in his second start. I was so impressed with those two. And Josh Fryer played much better than he did in game one. I thought the offensive line just looked terrific tonight.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's probably the number one takeaway for me was just that the offensive line was that good. I think across the board, whoever they had in there, they all played really, really well. I saw a couple of times Josh Simmons just had, big blocks. I can't remember which touchdown it was, but he had the key block on one that sprung a touchdown. Josh Fryer had, his moments he looked really good as well. Seth McLaughlin looked fantastic again. Just across the board, Ohio State's offensive line was probably the biggest takeaway for me today because of what we talked about last week and just, not sure, what Ohio State had there, and it's still kind of being that question mark that's not going to get answered, in any 1 week. Where I came away from last week, not feel like I learned any more about them. I thought, again, relative to the competition, they did exactly what you would hope they would do, and then went out and dominated the line of scrimmage today. So definitely my biggest takeaway today was that offensive line, and it was across the board. They played well across the board.
They sure did. The running backs were tremendous as well, thanks to that offensive line. Will Howard, despite a couple of wonky throws, which, I don't know if it almost looked like the ball kind of slipped out of his hand, but he did miss JJ on a bit of a longer throw. And those are the kind of throws that we've known all along are going to be a little hit or miss for him.
Yeah.
But doing what he does well, he did it almost perfectly tonight.
Yeah, no, he missed the throw to JJ for sure. Not only did he underthrow, but he threw it late too. He just saw it late. And those are plays that you have to hit. In big football games, it's just what it is, and he knows that. He said after the game, the presser, that he's going to think about that. That missed throw for quite some time. But all in all, he played really well. More of what we come to expect. Like he missed another throw, I want to say maybe to Jelani, where he was trying to layer the ball over a linebacker and maybe didn't really need to layer that ball over a linebacker. He could have just, and he alluded to that during his press conference. So, yeah, a couple missed throws, but overall, again, looked really, really good. He could have thrown for 450, 500 yards today if he needed to and wanted to. And I'm looking forward to Ohio State, ramping up competition, because I hate to come back to this caveat of against Western Michigan or, against relative to the competition. But they can only play the teams that are in front of them, and that's who it was tonight. And he could have thrown for 450 yards if he wanted to. So all in all, he looked really good. Again, great pocket awareness and command in the pocket. He avoided a sack in the first, I want to say maybe the first or second drive. That, again, just calling it what it is, would have been a sack last year, just period. It would have been a sack, and he broke in. He ended up throwing the ball out of the back of the end zone, but avoided that big play that just kills the drive. It was in line with what we saw last week, and I just continue to think that Will Howard's more than capable of doing everything Ohio State needs to to go where they want to go offensively, and it certainly helps with those guys at receivers, especially that certain freshman out there. So.
That certain freshman, Dillon, got 6 targets in the first half again, as did Emeka, but him getting 6 targets in the first half, again, second week in a row, has just got me feeling great about the way they plan to use him. That's 2 weeks in a row now, and it's like they're going to – he's their number one guy, and they are making that so. Like, that is what's going on here. I was a little hesitant to come to that conclusion after game 1. I'm certain now. And I think that is the absolute right way to use him, not to waste a single game out of these 3 years that you have him. Game 1, it's on and popping, and boy, does he look every bit the part. He's doing everything right. We watched the game earlier today. We see freshman Ryan Wingo get hawked down on his long run. I'm arguing with the Texas folks, and they're saying he's better than JJ. I say JJ would have scored there, and then JJ comes out and does it today. I love it. Go ahead.
I saw that clip from that Texas podcast or show, whatever they do. I saw that on Twitter earlier this week. And, look, Wingo's a tremendous player without a doubt. A great talent. They have a good one down there in Austin. But the way this guy said that with just completely matter of fact, as if like it wasn't really that close, or that he couldn't understand why anybody else would beg to differ on that. It was just asinine to me. But I'm not going to get started on that. For Jeremiah, you're a big Chris Carter guy, right? That's your boy. That's Chris Carter's records, his freshman records, are all officially on notice. Like, Jeremiah Smith is going to, and not just Chris Carter's. We're talking about, when we're talking about the greats of the greats at Ohio State, in terms of receiver for, careers and things like that. All of these Ohio State records, are all officially on notice if they weren't already coming into this game, but they are now. But certainly Chris Carter's, freshman records. I thought he has a single game freshman record, a receiving record. I want to say it was 170 something. And I thought it was going down today, the way that first half went. The only reason it didn't go down is because JJ didn't have enough opportunities in the second half. There will be games coming up where, Ohio State's starting offense will be in the game for 4 quarters. And that record is going to fall at some point this year. I would be shocked if it doesn't, and it might not be the only one. So, look, I think everybody tried at every turn to kind of simmer down the talk about JJ in the offseason and whatnot, and it's trying to tell people like it's no I get it for a lot of freshmen, it's like they come into Ohio State with a lot of hype. I understand it. This is not that case. you should be talking more about this kid. This kid deserves every bit of it. And, and here we are, after week 2 is talking about, freshman records falling and career records falling at Ohio State. And it's not over the top at all. So, yeah.
On his touchdown, Dillon, I noticed when he came off the field, it wasn't the receivers or the linemen or the specialists on the team. Every single body came up to him as a freshman, and that's different. It's just different. The amount of respect you can tell that he has amongst the team is so different that I just love to see that. Another young guy, Arvell Reese, our dude, comes in. He's the third guy, third linebacker in there, and James doing what he said he would do. If you play and you play well, you deserve to be out there, and you're going to be the next guy up. And sticking to his word, Arvell comes out, plays. I thought excellent tonight. What did you think of Arvell?
Yeah, I thought he looked good again. I mean, again, it's just athleticism and the way he just hawks the ball down. I mean, the way he just, it just constantly flows to the ball, never stops running, just plays hard. I thought Arvell had another strong game again. I'm glad you brought up that point about, James sticking to his word. You're absolutely right. Like, if anybody wondered if that would, still hold weight come season, here you go. Arvell played today. He was the first linebacker off the bench in front of CJ Hicks because Arvell Reese played well and presumably practiced well this week and certainly played well last week. And he's the first linebacker off the bench. So James is doing exactly what he said he would do. Good for him. Good for Arvell. That's not to knock, CJ Hicks. Look, I know there was some pushback last week when, I myself, and I think you as well, mentioned that like CJ didn't play the best, just from a traditional linebacker standpoint, looked great, rest of the passer as we knew he would, but didn't play, his best football from from a linebacker standpoint. There were things to back that up. And obviously this, further, kind of underscores that. And that's not to say that like CJ Hicks is, done and his career is over with and he won't contribute to this team. I'm not saying that at all. But look, Arvell played really well last week and, maybe CJ didn't play as well as he had hoped. And that played out this week when Arvell was the first linebacker off the bench. CJ still saw the field, but Arvell played really well again. They didn't just continue to be more and more excited about him. And I said it last week, and I think as we continue to see him play more on the field and get that experience, I'll continue to say that Ohio State's just fine. If Arvell had to play, significant football for this team in big football games, Ohio State's just fine there. I think he's absolutely ready to go, regardless of the moment. And that goes for the whole linebacker group. I thought Cody Simon looked really good today too. So getting that guy back and pushing Arvell off the field a little more, or CJ off the field, they're in such a good spot at linebacker, man. So kudos to James Laurinaitis, and he continues to kill it on the recruiting trail. And there's some big things coming for that linebacker group, and it's about time too, because Ohio State's had some solid ones, but it's been far too long since Ohio State's linebacker group was at the level that everybody expects Ohio State's linebacker group to be, and it's there, man, and it's going to continue to be there if the way the recruiting is any indication. Yeah,
without a doubt. All right, Dillon, I know you got a story to write. Anything from Ryan Day's presser or Will's presser that you got, and Quinshon too? Any takeaways you want to add for us?
No, I mean, Will said all the right things. I only talked to Will, Quinshon, and Ryan. The rest of the guys were at tables, kind of breakout tables, and I had to pick and choose. So I only talked to Quinshon, Ryan, and Will. Quinshon's just, Quinshon's very soft-spoken, doesn't talk a whole lot. So, he's not going to be the guy who gives you, the most interesting quotes. But it was fun just to talk to him about his first 100-yard day and, finding the end zone and all that stuff. But nothing that stood out there. Will just, continued to talk about, for as good as they feel right now and as good as, they think they're playing, that there's so much more to do. And there is, certainly in Will's case, we know he missed some throws and just getting comfortable in general, more comfortable, which is only going to come with time and reps. So not a lot stood out there. I think I asked Ryan about, I asked Ryan Tuesday. I was one to ask Ryan about the third quarterback thing, right? So I asked Ryan if he felt good about, a third quarterback in particular, if he had to play him last week. And he gave me the company line of, they're all competing and whatnot. And okay, fine, whatever. I asked him what stood out to him about Julian this week. And, I asked him if he probably knew when I asked him the question on Tuesday, if it was Julian, but just, if not, what stood out. And he took that opportunity to give Devin Brown a lot of credit. And this is my point here. to first give Devin Brown a lot of credit. And, you know, I should have asked about Devin first because Devin played, I thought, really well today. Devin deserved to be talked about in the press conference, and the fact that, you know, I just glossed over him for Julian. Shame on me, but I'm glad Ryan kind of like, you know, deliberately, I know it was deliberately corrected me and started by talking about Devin Brown. Good for him. So that's my thing. I thought Devin Brown looked really good today for everybody. And hey, look, Julian had his moment, and that's great. But for everybody who's just, you know, automatically moving Julian, saying up the depth chart and saying that he's got to be QB2, or that Devin Brown has no business playing for this football team. I'm not saying that that's not ultimately how it plays out, or that's not ultimately what makes Ohio State, you know, the best football team it can be if they had to go to a second quarterback. But I thought Devin's play today was just a reminder that we haven't seen very much of Devin, and there's still a reason why, you know, Ryan Day's been steadfast to Devin Brown's the second quarterback. And I thought Devin backed that up today. I thought he looked really good today. So I guess that was one of my bigger takeaways from the day is like, I was really impressed with Devin Brown and thought he did a really good job of, you know, kind of showing people that like, hey, there's a reason why he's the unquestioned backup of this team. You know, that was one of my bigger takeaways as well. You know, I could sit here and we could both rattle on about everything about the starters and what they did because, you know, it was a beat down and whatnot. But I tried to, you know, look into some of the things that, you know, happen in the twos and the threes and some of those guys that maybe wouldn't otherwise get to play. Devin Brown was one of those for sure. And then one more thing, if I may, again, relative to the competition that it is, I don't know if I could be any more impressed with James Peoples through 2 weeks in what he's in the opportunities he's gotten, the limited opportunities gotten. I continue to just be blown away by, you know, how much that guy reminds me of J.K. Dobbins, how fast he hits the hole, you know, and how, you know, low to the ground he runs, and, you know, because he's not a very big guy in the first place. I think that kid's a future star. And again, I don't want to just throw too much on him because it's only 2 weeks against bad competition and whatnot. But I don't see how that kid doesn't go on to have a really, really good career, not a decent, really, really good career just because of the way he runs. Like if he sees a hole, he hits it, and he hits it hard, and he's quick enough to get there and get to the second level, in which case you're, you know, maybe only one guy away from breaking a big one or taking it to the house. I don't see how that guy's not a star, you know, in a year or two at Ohio State, especially with the guys, you know, in front of him that aren't going to be there, you know, long. Yeah. So I think Ohio State's got a really good one in James Peoples. I'm so impressed by what he's done through 2 weeks and excited to see, you know, where he takes it.
Yeah, incredibly exciting. And I'm with you about Devin. That is the most calm and cool he's looked. There was no jittery, you know, it didn't look frantic to me. He looked chill in there, and he made ripped a couple nice ones in there. So I was really impressed, and I felt really good for the guy too. All right, Dillon, thank you so much, buddy. Appreciate you joining us. We'll let you get to your story. The Juck guys love you joining us and filling us in, and we will we'll talk to you soon, buddy.
Appreciate you. Appreciate everybody out there checking in and commenting and all that stuff. I always appreciate reading the comments and stuff. So thank you guys. I'm looking forward to doing it again. Well, I guess not next week. A little break next week, and we'll see you again in a couple weeks.
All right. Later, buddy.
Appreciate it.
That guy's awesome, man. All right, guys. So Dillon with a little info on what happened in the press conference. Sounds like not a whole lot was said, but do always like to get his thoughts on the game, as he's a pretty in tune Buckeye fan, just like the rest of us. And nice to hear from him. So what do we got? Nebraska beat Colorado. Dago, did Nebraska beat Colorado? I don't think I saw that score. Troy, what's up, buddy? Chris said Dillon's great. Yeah, I really like Dago. I really like Dillon. Dillon's great. All right, guys. I am going to go watch the rest of this game and enjoy the rest of my evening. I really appreciate you guys joining me. To wrap this puppy up, we'll be back on, you know, I might pop in tomorrow, but we'll be doing Monday at 9 a.m. and I'll be live Monday at 9 a.m. So for my chat crew, if you guys want to pop in and say hello, we will be trying to do more of the live shows, and definitely I will Monday. And I appreciate you guys so much. Thanks for joining me. Go Bucks. Hell of a day. You guys are the best. Talk to you later. Juck on Bucks out.